On Monday, October 3rd, this year, 2022, so 2 days ago, very, very early morning, I was stranded on a flight I was supposed to go on. Didn't get to go on it. Lots of things happened, and I have for a long while now, but more so as time has progressed and I've practiced more of my own philosophy, uh, sort of let go of how certain things affect me, not by ignoring what is and isn't, but in the sense of how attached I am to certain things. And it does not mean that I give up, give in, or accept, or condoned, or allowed, etc. It's just a different sense of feeling. And it's not ignoring my actions or others in positive or negative either, and what that is and what I should and should not in the sense of a balanced, advanced, actually evolved person versus someone who uh, is just done manipulation of how people view them. So with that in mind, there was a point where my son and I, ended up talking to two people who were traveling together and were stranded as well. You know, hours in, etc., talk about different things. And in that sense, brings me to the point of what I'm talking about. In this video, it's about how you let different things, events, situations, uh, whether they're together or singular and apart, etc., regardless of the way off per se, um, whatever you are in your life, you have the tools and abilities in yourself to be able to address and deal with the situation. And it's not perfect, and you're always not going to get it. And even when you do know, there will be times where you'll be challenged as new things show up, not because those things outside of you disturbing you are meant to be, or they're the balance of you, as there's no such thing as someone being evil being the balance of someone being good. More so lazy people and also narcissistic people and people who manipulate others and use others, who want you to believe that, obviously. you know it's the whole, hey, my evilness is your empowerment while I'm using you, etc. So obviously it's not something like that, but it's more so in the sense of knowing who you are, what you deserve and you do not, and what is happening, and etc., and what you've done or not, etc. And regardless of how you view the world or not, you know honestly what is and isn't, regardless of what you want to admit out loud, you do know, you know. And in that perspective, then the understanding and honesty, uh, how you gonna let things that although you do not deserve are outside of you. And it doesn't mean that you have to accept, and let go means ignore, etc. It just means different things. And while I am not going to say everything here on a video, for one, nobody is interested often on the very long videos, but second, uh, it's my personal things, and stuff like that. Most people usually pay others to give them a half useful, if at all, answer, lots of money. Meanwhile, I am a person that's often copy, use, but ignore. And I'm not trying to take the topic out of hand, but going forward, that is going to be my approach. And I'm being open about it just because if it's the topic of all of this, it's no vengeance or hateful or anything. It's just advancing myself, understanding what I've been openly, how I've been welcomed even by people who pretend not to be certain things, not understanding how taking from someone something and passing it out for yourself, etc. And I'm not even talking about those who are plagiarizing and harassing me, but I'm talking about the people who might take a concept, an idea, that the world needs to know, and not acknowledging someone who's small because there is something you might not like without even discussing or talking about it, etc. Because there's no one has ever approached me and say anything, and everything I've talked about, while often has been dismissed at the beginning, it's been more beyond proven with, honors, if you want to call it. Things like these people using symbolic things, numerology, etc., which people feel is very out there. Yet it has been proven and it has been shown what it is and beyond, and other people have now talked about it, etc. So with all of these things in mind, I'm just mentioning one of several examples, but that's one of the things that people find out there. And at no point I've claimed I believe these things, by the way. I'm just pointing what I observed and I see and I understand based upon my knowledge of certain topics. Anybody who looks at my things bothers to actually take the time understands I'm not as some people would like to portray me, etc. But I'm not here to convince anyone of anything. Things are what they are, and people know what they know. And when people want to nod at me to something after a certain why, yet often I'm still follow, etc., around and so on, and disturb for someone who's allegedly not important. Copy, I can go on. With this, in a similar fashion, uh, disturbing things happen to me all the time. And so missing a flight is not the first time I've been held back from something that I'm supposed to be and I'm fine with, but for some reason I'm being delayed. So I've been stranded multiple times at this point now, etc., with the harassment. So on Monday, with these people, the discussion of, like I said, different things and them sharing different things too, that bring to the topic of balancing yourself and being able to find yourself. And this does not mean like just feel pleasurably peaceful when you do not deserve it, nor ignoring what even the pain that comes when you do not deserve things too, regardless of which situation you're in, but accepting those things and knowing what to do, follow up. Accepting doesn't mean letting go of. So when you accept you're a bad person doesn't mean you embrace it. It means, and when I'm using such simple terms as bad person, things like that, to make it simpler instead of elaborating in the sense when you know you're doing something wrong. And some people do a lot of wrong with very little right, or have a huge image of what they are versus what they're actually are beyond that image, etc. And it's a much more uh, emphasized amount of effort in those things versus anything that you can claim is positive. So in that sense, what you can call a bad person to me is that, and versus what is not. So with all of these things, also be able to accept what is your action and your participation in any way, and also how directly or indirectly how you might treat one person ripples into other things, and or keeps you from other things that might be much more beneficial, etc. And understanding all of these things, it takes time, and being able to identify those things in yourself is the best way to be able to start anything. So before we can even start to honestly accept and understand and move past and do things that benefit openly society, it starts with ourselves in those aspects that I pointed. But even when we're looking at social things, detachment from what we might perceive as good. 'Cause I'm pointing this mainly for things like political, for example. Lots of people want to really hold that to that badge of liberal, conservative, communist, whatever, when that's the most contribution to the wrong of what is. Understanding and accepting what people do wrong instead of talking about overall a label is actually what society needs in those things. So bringing all that back, that's why I say it starts with ourselves. Because what keeps people from accepting that these things are and aren't, and there are positives and negatives everywhere. And I don't mean Donald Trump has good qualities, or like as Donald Trump will put it as still there were good people on both sides. It's not like that, but more so in the sense of what a positive person is and isn't, and how what labels are and aren't, the dangers of openly talking about the wrongs of, regardless of the comforts or discomforts of on the labels, etc. So for example, some lots of people seem to be afraid to talk about negative people in, say, the Liberal Party because it might harm the party, the Conservative Party because it might harm the party. So it goes to show you it's not about what is and isn't in a varying society, and putting people who actually have heart and mind of social leadership in the world across in different things. But it is always about maintaining the same things that people want to complain about. So at the end of the day, then don't complain. If you do actually want to work, you're gonna have to work on yourself and accept those things and see how they are, and respect people and acknowledge people, and not include myself in that list, and or accept what you receive, because at the end of the day, in different ways, in different actions, including in the denials of and the affiliations of fervently without acknowledging what is and isn't, is the reason why the world is as it is. And with all of that includes not just politically but everywhere, because privately you have lots of CEOs and overall just people with money or companies, etc., that do different things and etc. And the things that are required to make the world better take a change, takes effort, and you have to take actions and all of that, that will help make the world a better place, hopefully, and hopefully not too late. And yes, there are people who fervently cling to their position of power, and it's different to address that. But you're not going to get the answers to harassing someone that you know has them, while ignoring and not giving them a position that they will deserve and acknowledgement, and giving the acknowledgement and position and empowerment to the people who multiply that. You get what you invest on. So welcoming it, acknowledging it, or you're just gonna have to accept what you are for what you are. And that's all.